Thank you very much, Cathaoirleach. Thank you for accepting this commencement matter as a very pertinent contemporary issue, and I appreciate the fact that you recognise that too, Cathaoirleach, and thanks to the Minister for being here to answer the questions around it or to inform the House. I suppose one can say at the outset, thankfully, that the debate around the science on climate change is over, effectively over, with very few naysayers left, and it's now down to implementation, it's now down to solutions and how we address the problem. And green hydrogen, I mean, there's what they call blue and green hydrogen, to be technical, but green hydrogen offers the potential to be an energy supply without any carbon emissions, and to be a very productive one in that regard. And it had got very high level recognition recently in a speech by Untitled at the Shared Ireland Initiative in Dublin Castle on the 9th of December 2021, when he said, "We will work to develop with the UK government across border pilot project on green hydrogen for the road network, and we stand ready to resource an agreed project." So that was a commitment then, and I'd like the Minister to tell me what steps have been taken about that. I'm going to use as my main source for what I say to here a report commissioned by Green Tech SkillNet in partnership with Wind Energy Ireland and SkillNet Ireland. And that report is the basis for that. So basically, they say that long-term strategies for the use of green hydrogen, rather, have been developed in countries as diverse as Canada, Chile, Colombia, Czech Republic, France, Germany, Hungary, Netherlands, Norway, Portugal, Spain, UK and EU. So, and following the COP26, hydrogen targets in this country were actually raised. So I suppose the background I'd say is that this is a real live issue and needs advancing. Now, the main possible source in this country of green hydrogen would be wind energy, would be our wind turbines, and now our domestic wind turbines, if you like, or for want of a better term, our on-land wind turbines are not enough. But we need to develop the offshore, huge potential of the offshore wind turbines, particularly in the southwest and right around. A great potential. We're one of the best in Europe there, and we should be fit to have a surplus there of wind energy and ultimately be fit to supply domestic markets, and there's potential for export according to this report as well. There's a definite role for green hydrogen in Ireland's energy, so we have now the technology to do it, the report tells us, and there's the economic and political will. It is of course easier for the larger industrial countries, but it has potential here for power generation. It could be used, say, in Moneypoint and Whitegate in power generation here. It could be used as aviation fuel, shipping fuel, and it has potential, as I said, for export, and ultimately can be used in lorries. It can be injected into the national gas pipelines. A blend of 20% is technically achievable there, and that's something that we should be doing. We need to get a pilot project up and going and show evidence, and I think I might be running out of time, but those are some of the main issues. I'll come back to some of the figures maybe at the end, but basically, in essence, Cathaoirleach, what I want is the Minister to tell me where are we at with moving to green hydrogen and with creating the modus operandi there. Where are we at? Where do we plan to go? And what steps have been taken? Thanks.
Thank you, Anish on Ara.
Thank you, Cathaoirleach, and thank you, Senator O'Reilly, for raising this important matter that's of great interest to me. Scenarios for net zero emissions by 2050 include a potentially significant role for the use of zero-emission gases, including green hydrogen, and in planning for the longer term, we will ensure that they can meet their potential. The Climate Action Plan of 2021, published in November, identifies green hydrogen as having the potential to support decarbonisation across several sectors, including high-temperature heat for industry, transport, including aviation and marine fuels, and some limited heavy and long-haul ground transport, and in Ireland for long-duration electricity storage. The Climate Action Plan 2021 already includes actions relating to green hydrogen in the electricity, enterprise and transport sectors. It also sets out how green hydrogen could address some of the challenges faced by the energy sector, such as providing a backup for intermittent renewables. A key target set out in the Climate Action Plan is to carry out a work programme to identify a route to deliver 1 to 3 terawatt-hours of zero-emissions gas, including green hydrogen, by 2030. So it's Minister Ryan's intention to publish a consultation on the development of a green hydrogen strategy in the first half of this year. And as part of this strategy, my department will first look at the areas of demand where we think that green hydrogen will be necessary, competitive, efficient, and where better alternatives do not exist. Displacing fossil fuel-derived hydrogen in industry would be a clear and sensible use of green hydrogen. We will not look to incentivise green hydrogen in areas where direct electrification or efficiency would be a better solution. So as an example of this, direct hydrogen gas heating would require 5 to 7 times more renewable electricity than a heat pump. So we will also look at supply of green hydrogen, identifying the potential for both dedicated hydrogen production from renewable electricity, but also using curtailed energy from grid electricity. There is a need to rapidly develop green electricity to displace fossil electricity first. However, there may be areas where, through a constrained grid, green hydrogen may be a more efficient route to decarbonisation of our energy use without the need for additional grid infrastructure. There are several companies already looking at this opportunity in the Midlands and in the west of the country, and I welcome the recent publication of Wind Energy Ireland's Green Hydrogen Report with Green Tech SkillsNet, and I welcome the support of Sinn Féin in their private members' bill on the development of a hydrogen strategy for Ireland. The Climate Action Plan is a living document, and it will be updated on an annual basis to reflect ongoing developments and targets achieved. My department continues to work with relevant departments, agencies and stakeholders to carry out research and develop policies to support the uptake of green hydrogen, and I expect a strategy focusing on the development of green hydrogen to be included in the Climate Action Plan 2022. An extensive public consultation process was undertaken as part of the development of the Climate Action Plan 2021, and in the future there will be ongoing dialogue with citizens and stakeholders, including a public consultation. So in relation to the transport sector, a very important aspect of green hydrogen is its potential to support the decarbonisation of transport. It's envisaged that green hydrogen can contribute to the decarbonisation of those hard-to-abate sectors, such as HGVs, shipping, and potentially, as a synthetic fuel, aviation during the second half of this decade. It also has the potential to be used in the manufacture of synthetic fuels for transport, and as an island, I'm very keen to see Ireland lead with decarbonising aviation. We have a significant aviation leasing sector, and I'm happy to see their report published recently on decarbonisation of air travel. They realise that there is a significant risk of stranded aviation assets if they are not at the forefront of decarbonisation. So as part of the Renewable Fuels for Transport policy statement that was published in November of last year, the Minister for Transport announced that from 2023, and subject to legislation, renewable fuels of non-biological origin, such as green hydrogen and synthetic fuels produced from green hydrogen, will be eligible for credits as part of the Renewable Fuels Obligation Scheme. And further, in recognition of the need to incentivise their development, they will be awarded multiple credits. Also, under the Shared Island Dialogues, the Department of Transport, together with the Department of the Taoiseach, is progressing projects which will explore the topic of safety regulation for hydrogen as a transport fuel, and they will set out a roadmap for the installation of hydrogen refuelling infrastructure servicing travel between Ireland and Northern Ireland. In addition to this, the Department of Transport is supporting green hydrogen development through the provision of policy advice for projects looking at the development of green hydrogen infrastructure, such as the Galway Green Hydrogen Hub and Hydrogen Mobility Ireland projects. The introduction of the Alternatively Fuelled Heavy-Duty Vehicle AFHDV grant in March 2021, and through working with the Minister for Finance to announce in Budget 2022 the expansion of the Accelerated Capital Allowance Scheme for natural gas-propelled vehicles and related equipment to include hydrogen vehicles and equipment. Thank you.
Margaret Anish and Laska here, no me the one.
Thank you, Minister, for that response. It's a very positive and encouraging response because the one thing people outside this building would be wondering about is where is the action, and you do say that the Minister is committed to publish a consultation on the development of green hydrogen strategy in the first half of this year. And as part of the strategy that your own department, Minister, will look at areas of demand where we think green hydrogen will be necessary, competitive, efficient. And it is, you do note further on in your statement that there are several companies already looking to take up this opportunity in the Midlands and West. And I would humbly suggest to you, Minister, that they not be lost, those companies, and to be kept in touch with and be kept in the pitch so that they are there to do this. And I mean, the report that I cited, and you also cite in your response, is very encouraging here. I take the point, and I'm conscious, I'll finish on this. I take the point, Minister, that the big thing is to get the sufficient amount of wind energy going as well, is to increase our wind energy. And you might, in your response, just comment on the offshore wind energy element. Thanks, Carla. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Senator. So, you know, in a very concrete way, of course, there were those 3 buses that have been put in, which are operating in practice and giving us the experience to know, what's it like to run longer, heavy-duty services. Of course, you don't get pollution, you don't get emissions from them. When you burn hydrogen, all you get is water. So it's a very clean fuel, and that is, that's giving us some experience. Hydrogen can be used for all these different things, but it's not going to be commercially appropriate in every sector. And in fact, we can make a kind of a hierarchy of least appropriate to most appropriate. And there are sections, electricity is something which you can generate, it's very hard to store. And so hydrogen gives you that ability to take when you're in excess, and also and then use it when you're in deficit. It allows us to balance the variability of wind. We have a very, very windy day. We can't use all the electricity we're generating. We can store it somewhere, we can reuse it. And then for some of these hard to decarbonise sectors, like the long distance, the shipping, the aviation, heavy trucking. So I think there's a lot of potential there, even if it's not going to be ideal. So, for example, heating a home, it appears that that's not likely to replace natural gas, and that we will be looking at heat pumps instead. So I just want to mention that there is a European Union hydrogen strategy. So this is being talked about in Europe as well. It was published in 2020, and it comes with an important new legislative package for hydrogen and decarbonisation. That was completed in December 2021, and these 2 initiatives seek to create the conditions for a shift from natural gas to renewable and low carbon gases, and in particular hydrogen and biomethane. We have a very undeveloped biomethane section in Ireland, compared to Germany as well. So there is a lot of room there for what are considered to be alternative gases that don't have the climate change aspects and have much reduced pollution. Thank you.